Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name's Adam,
I'm Hussein.
and welcome back to another episode of Najah. Uh, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. As you guys can see, we're in a different type of setting now. Usually, we're pent up in the office, virtual
We actually touched grass.
meetings. Alhamdulillah, yeah, we've made it outside. So we thought we'd try something different. Let us know what you guys think, inshallah. Any feedback, comments, anything. And today, inshallah, we want to take this time, to use this podcast episode without guests to really talk about something that would tie in close to the mission of our podcast. And this episode was suggested by one of you guys. We did put out a question on Instagram on our story, and one of you guys did suggest this. So, jazakallah khair for that. If you guys do want to give feedback or be a part of the episodes in the future in that way, do follow our Instagram at ed.najih.podcast. And who knows, your idea can make it into a future episode. So today, inshallah, we'll be discussing, you know, measuring like the means of success by finding balance in life, and that balance is, what's the level between Deen and Dunya? The age-old question that everybody says, Deen over Dunya, but how do we, actually apply that in our day-to-day lives? So I think it starts, by understanding, there obviously as Muslimin we have to understand that this dunya is very temporary, and this deen is that we're on is our ticket to everlasting joy and anything that we want, anything that we could dream of. And it's more than we can imagine here. And I think that's something very important to understand. Do you want to kind of take that and
Yeah.
move with it?
There's a ayah in the Quran, is in Surah Imran, where Allah mentions just how how much of an illusion this life is, and sometimes we can just get so lost in the sauce pretty much in this dunya, and how sometimes these haram things, whether it's like drugs or hanging out with bad people and doing all this and that, can overtake our pretty much our objective in this dunya, which is getting to Jannat al-Firdaus. Because overall, this dunya is a test, whether we like it or not. And sometimes we have to have this balance of dunya and deen for us to have this reminder of, yeah, this dunya is a test.
Subhanallah, yeah. And I mean, we all are very aware of that where we apply that balance in real life, like of actually applying our deen in our daily lives, that can ultimately protect us from the troubles of this dunya. Not to say if there isn't any good that comes out of the dunya, because that would just be completely wrong. But we do understand, like, the day and age that we are living in, the time that we're living in, it's very tough to stay steadfast and on your deen all the time. I mean, the example that we were just talking about, even in that I can even apply to myself as of very recently. Let's say you're out with a group of friends, doing whatever leisure activity, or just doing anything, with just a group of friends that may not be Muslim, but Asr rolls around and hey, it's time to pray. You can either say, hey guys, let me step aside, let's take a 5-minute break from what we're doing right now. If you don't mind, I'm gonna go to the side and just pray really quick. Or you can listen to that voice in your head, that waswas of the shaitan, that says, hey, come on, you're really gonna embarrass yourself in front of everybody, and you're gonna, like, all these people are looking at you, you're gonna be like, praying in front of them? Or nah, you can wait, there's a lot of time. The sun's not even halfway down yet. You can get it before Maghrib. You're fine. There's things like that that always stack up in your head, and we all are guilty of having that voice in our head, whether we invite it or not. It's always there, and that's something that is very powerful. Once we understand that, what, I am able to pray, and I'm proud enough and confident enough that I'm doing this for nobody else but myself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blessings and the rewards that you'll get will be much more and outweigh whatever embarrassment you may feel or anything like that than you can even imagine. And I think that's something very powerful for people to understand, because I mean, we have brothers and sisters today that, like, including myself, not to say I'm somebody super pious, but sometimes are like almost embarrassed to be practicing, like, oh, you can't eat bacon? What, you don't celebrate Christmas? Dude, you don't do this and that? And it can turn from things like that to be like, just come to this, come to our just winter holiday party. Just, come on over and enjoy. That could take you away from the deen. It could be, dude, You don't drink? Well, just come to the party, bro. Just come hang out. It's fine. Just you don't need to do all that, but just come see your guys. That's that can be a distraction for you. As soon as you invite something that isn't gonna help you or benefit you by any means in this dunya, you're putting a roadblock on achieving like a easy lifting path on this deen. That's something very dangerous that we're seeing a lot more now, and it comes on every aspect, whether it's like your salah, you know, the friendships that we hold, our workplace, our school. All these things can either be really good for us or really bad for us. And I think it's the same way. There was something that I always think about is like, for instance, we can take like we'll do two examples. Like we can do like this relationship right here. We come together to benefit each other on like what we may be doing wrong. We put aside to just remind ourselves of good, healthy habits Islamically. By even reading through this episode. We're not perfect Muslimin by any means, but by recording this, and by reading this, and by preaching it, we got to stand behind what we say and practice what we preach. You know what I mean? Put our money where our mouth is. At the same time, as soon as this aspect is maybe taken away from this relationship, who knows what you leave the door open for? Invite stuff in. Same thing with like the phones, for example. This phone, alhamdulillah, you know, can call and text on it. Mom's always on speed dial. But I got my app that tells me which way to pray, like the Qibla. Tells me when to pray. Has Quran on it. Has some like adhkar and some reminders on it. It has all that. But at the same time, not to say that you're not supposed to have anything fun on your phone, but as soon as this phone is the consuming of all my time, then that can be something bad for me. Because at the end of the day, this phone could be the reason I get, like, realistically, this phone could be the reason I get into Jannah, or it can be the one mark I missed because instead of praying that one time, it's like, dude, but you gotta finish this video, or just swipe one more time, or see what's next. Like that's something you very scary to think about, and I think that comes into play when we think about distractions when it comes to Deen, like our prayers and going to the sajid. And is there anything you want to take from that, or move from there?
I was gonna say like that concept of whether my phone is gonna take me, whether it's this is the reason I'm gonna go to Jannah or Jahannam. Inshallah, we all get Jannah.
I mean,
Like that can apply to so many things. For example, like your friends, right? These group of people could help me and benefit my deen and my iman and my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or it could ruin it and let me to be astray within the dunya. You know what I mean?
yeah, and at the same time as all these like little things happen, it's again at the end of the day, it's all about our intention that we set forth from the beginning. Because being very honest with you guys, growing up in the West, when you're not surrounded by a super predominant Islamic community in everyday life, we're saying, not saying that we grow up and we don't have any masajid or community centers around us or any groups like that, but I mean that's something you can escape to. But let's say like our daily lives in school, for example,
Or work or
or work, you're not going to always have that
reminder.
yeah, that brotherhood or sisterhood that you have when you have all your community around you, whether that be in the masajid or just out in a group setting. So it's all about the intention, because it's not easy with all these factors weighing upon you. And it's I like to think personally, because that's like a way that I live by, is that any notion or any amount of good that you do, just put it forth. Like don't no matter how minuscule it is, because I know the shaitan loves to whisper. Say like we could all be down in the dumps, or like really down our deen, or like really in our own head about some things, and we're like, you know what, we're ready to turn around and ready to pray, and you get that whisper. It's like, do you not understand what you just did? You think God's gonna forgive you for that? Like, don't even bother praying. Oh, you already missed last salah. Don't even pray this salah. You're kidding me? Like, you're gonna, you get that whisper. So we all get it. Like, we all have that voice. We all have that struggle. But it's the fact that if you're going down that tough path, whether that be that path of distractions or that path of sin, as soon as you realize you're on it and find your way off of that path and turn back, that's all that it takes. It takes that one step. And that can be something super small, whether that be For example, you know, your guys are all calling you out and they're like, "Hey, bro, let's go do this. Let's just go try this out." You know it's wrong. Instead of saying, "Yeah, you're right, go through with it," because you don't want the guys to think you're lame. You sit out. You say, "You know what, I'm gonna take it easy at home tonight. I'm just gonna chill tonight." And you may be feeling like, "Man, wish I was with them."
The
God,
FOMO,
what?
right?
Yeah, that FOMO that you're feeling like, ooh, like I'm sitting here at home alone. I bet they're having so much fun. You're seeing them post about it. They're
Yeah.
like, man, blah 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 blah. But you're at home. You're protecting yourself, and Allah is blessing you immensely for that because you're aware of what you could have been doing or partaking in. And instead, you're at home, and maybe that time that you had at home, you wouldn't be able to pray Maghrib with them because you wouldn't have any time. But now you got your Maghrib on time. You got a little extra time, so it's like, you know what? Let me just read a little bit of Quran, or maybe you know what? I saw this new Umar Sulaiman video that came out. I didn't get to watch it. Let me watch it. Or, Echi Ayman keeps popping up on my TikTok. Let me watch that. You know what I mean? Little things like that. It's like you could maybe don't realize it in the moment, but Allah is the best of planners. He always got a plan for you. So in that moment, you may feel like, you know what? I don't know what's set for me. But as long as you put your trust in Allah, you gotta realize that there's always a bigger plan. And Allah's protecting you at all times. At the same time, it's if you do fall into that act of wrong, and you have that self-awareness that's like, you know what I did was wrong, and you have that intention again, I'm not going to do that again. That's where it all starts. And from there, you got to realize, you know what, maybe I start changing the crowd I hang out with. You know what, maybe I start talking to those brothers I see at Jummah all the time. Maybe I just go say what's up, get to know them. you know Maybe I have some free time in the middle of the day. Let me go, instead of praying alone at home, let me go to the masjid and pray dhuhr at this time. Or let me stop listening to music. Let me listen to Quran one time when I'm in the car. It's these little things that will immensely change the way your outlook and approach on life. Because I say very confidently that whenever uh my friends like to tell me, whenever we come upon the discussion of like, why are you Muslim? The answer could be as simple as, for most of us, it's like, oh, my mom was Muslim, my dad was Muslim, I was brought up Muslim. The fact is that that's the way it is for a lot of us. But the truth is that there's a difference between being brought up in the religion and finding it yourself. And once you find that religion yourself, you got to realize that Islam, especially nowadays, is the only religion that you can truly, truly call a lifestyle. You got to live by it. You got to live by it. You can't just say you're Muslim. You can't just say you pray 5 times a day. You got to act upon that. You know, you got to prepare zakat. You got to do your good. And that's the difference between Islam and everything else. It's that once you start changing your lifestyle, or once you start getting on your Islam, it starts with those little things. Maybe the lifestyle changes, maybe the habits. Everything else will follow. You'll see a different uh, approach to your work. The way you carry yourself, and again, this like when you balance out your Deen, it'll be perfectly leveled out with the way you approach your Dunya. I think that's super important, and I think we use that transition to talk about how we take care of our dunya. If you want to talk about that, Hussein.
Pretty much taking care of our dunya really just means to have good intentions. You know what I mean? And the Deen is what teaches us to have those good intentions, whether it's dealing with our money, our relationships, our health, our jobs, our work. Without the Deen, we wouldn't even have these morals and these intentions to pretty much have what I would say is a good dunya, right?
Sure. I mean, the thing we got to understand when we're talking about the dunya is that we're not saying don't enjoy yourself in this life, but you got to understand that
There needs to be a reminder.
there's a difference between enjoying yourself and doing what's wrong. You can obviously get together with your friends, have a good laugh, go have a night out. That's cool. But you're not, for me personally, you can't, like, you got to understand that we can't be compromising our akhirah for something that's gonna, at the end of the day, it's gonna be like that compared to how long we're lasting in Jannah, inshallah. You know what I mean? And the way I think about it is that a lot of things seem good right now. A lot of things in this dunya probably seem amazing to do, but we can't. Islam might be holding us back. Some people say, like we can't be drinking, can't be doing those drugs, can't be going out with the girls. You know what I mean? Like you can't be doing all that. But at the same time, as good as it seems right now, you got to remember it is that one small sin really worth it in the end? Because at the end of the day, you know, we're sitting here, alhamdulillah, you know, in a in a beautiful in a beautiful home with great company, in our clothes and all our materialistic needs and whatever we own and stuff like that. At the end of the day, we have none of that except for what you've done in this life, good and bad, and the skin that surrounds your body 6 feet under. Because all that dirt's gonna be stacked upon you, and you can't change anything else that you've done in this life. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Everybody knows, you're gonna there's that we hear them say like just send me back. Like send me back.
It'll be a
Rabbi
journey.
Jaruni. Like just send me back. Because something that's beautiful that I heard is there was a there's a funeral, and two brothers stayed back, and one of the one of them asked, what do you think? They're friends of the brother that died. They said, what do you think? You know, he's like he's khalas, he's gone now. Like, what do you think he's thinking? Like, what do you think he would do if he was back right now? What do you think this brother would change if he was back right now? And the other brother said he would stop doing everything that's wrong, and he would do everything that's right. He would realize how real that moment is. He'd stop messing around, doing everything that's wrong, stop sinning, and just devote his life to what's good. And the other brother responded, then if you're aware of that, live like that's the moment that you're in. Because you truly got to think about that. If we think in that perspective, if we think that, is it really, really worth it to be making all these mistakes? Because truth is, we may think right now that this one sin we can get back. Like we'll get back on the Deen after. Just do it one time, and then we'll be good. It's all about that intention and what comes after. Because you do it once, after you do it a few more times, it doesn't seem as bad. And there's a step up after that, and you just keep going up through the staircase of sin where you're almost just numb to what you're doing and what you're indulging in. And the truth is, like, is it? We have to think at the end of the day, is it really worth it? And we have to put ourselves. You have to put yourselves in that grave. You know, at the end of the day, that's where we all are, dude. That land's set for you. That plot is set for you. The second that you're gone is set for you. From the before you were even a part of this world, it's been set for you. You know,
You have to be able to think that, like, will your heart be able to personally answer those three questions of what's your religion, who's your Lord, and who's your prophet that was sent upon you, right? I saw this one video, I think it was by Imran bin Mansour, where one of his friends kept asking him, uh, Imran, like he pretty much told him, oh, he asked him those three questions, and he asked the same questions again, but his lips were sealed. And then pretty much his friend was like, "Who is your Lord?" And Imran wouldn't say it because his lips were like sealed. And he kept repeating like, "Imran, who is your Lord? Who is your Lord?" And then Imran started crying because that is sincere, like a good reminder for him at least, and for all of us to realize that like we're gonna be buried so deep in the grave, our lips are gonna be pressurized by the dirt that's gonna be upon us, and our mouths can't speak for us. It's only our hearts that can speak and answer those three questions, so we can have an actual resting in peace in the grave.
Subhanallah. I mean, this like the thing is, there's truth to Islam. It's you can't cheat. You can't cheat the system. You know those questions. That it's not. Let me do my flashcards every night and memorize. Alhamdulillah, we're all able. We can if we were able like to right-mindedly answer those questions. Inshallah, we'll be able to answer those questions. But we can't. Our soul speaks for us. End of the day, I can put on a mask and a facade that I'm very like I'm happy all the time and I'm smiling and I always feel good and it's like today's a great day. But sometimes we feel those days like I'm deep down, I'm sad inside, I'm hurting. It's the same thing with our religion. You know, we can't be acting like, what, everything's good. You know what? Maybe I only pray when the brothers are around. Like let's just pray like that, but then go behind closed doors and call us. You're a different person, dude. Like we gotta understand that everything's about the intention and everything's about the truth behind the action. And I think there's a pretty good segue here to say at the same time is that we're not doing this for anybody but ourselves and Allah. We got to understand that these people that we're around can ultimately be the deciding factor of your akhirah. And I think it's important to say, like, for example, I mean, I believe I discussed in the first episode that I like to think that all the people I surround myself with are better than me in one way or the other, on the in Deen, or even in life in general. And I say that because I like to think that I surround myself with people that can only bring me up, that can only have a positive impact on me. Because I don't want people holding me back. I don't know about you guys, but I want people that can push me forward. And that's in every aspect of life. Let's say we can apply this to the gym. Let's say we're going to the gym, first time stepping in the gym. Don't even know how to work a single machine. Haven't never touched the weights. First time stepping in, trying to get big. You know what I mean? And we're trying to decide who am I going to take advice from, who am I going to start working out with, who am I going to surround myself with. On one side of the gym, there's somebody that has no idea what they're doing. They don't know the concept of working out or nothing. On the other side of the gym, see the biggest guy in the whole gym. He's been doing this for years, right? Huge, mashallah. Like, he's got it down. Me personally, I want to take the guy that knows what he's doing, because this guy's going to tell me how to work out, how to get big, and one day maybe I can get like him, or if not close to him. Because if I go to the guy that doesn't have any idea of what he's doing or has never done this before, then I'm not going anywhere. What if he's just lying to me? You know what I mean? He's just deceiving me. Maybe he acts like he knows what he's doing, but he's not. That's the same thing with this dunya. There's that one friend group that is so tempting that we probably have. That's like, they have so much fun in this life, and everything they do seems so fun, and you're around them, and it's always a good time. On the other side, you see those brothers that, mashallah, they're on their deen. They still have a good time. I'm not saying, they're party poopers, but you know what I mean? Like, they're not chasing like these worldly temptations. They understand what's set out for them, what's waiting for them because of what they do. And all the brothers pick each other up, and they support each other, and they help each other grow. Well, on this side, it's like, forget the salah, man. You got that. You can make it up. Bro, you've been fasting all Ramadan. Like, just, you can skip one day. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, come on. Like, you can skip this one prayer. Oh, you can pray it later. Oh, bro, like, you really, like, you can't, you don't need to pay that zakat. You can't afford it. Little things like that. Little things. No matter how many in school, nobody's looking, bro. Take a drink. Go. Bro, you can't eat bacon? Just try it. It's so good. Little things like no matter how silly or elementary it seems, like, it's really real. We got to understand that. And obviously it takes some time to get there, and it's really hard. It's really hard. Don't say it to sound easy. It's really hard to step out of that comfort zone, to get out of that shell, and to just, change, essentially flip your life around. It's not like one night you go to sleep, next day you wake up and khalas, that one niyyah is fulfilled and you're good. It's all baby steps, and I think it's very important to see that we can start replacing some of the things that we know that we're doing wrong with things that might be better for us. But before I do continue, I do want to address that, subhanAllah, it's very easy for me and Hussein to sit here and say, do this, do better, don't do that. How are you doing that? Wow, how dare you? Oh, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's very easy for us to say that. But when I say this, I like to describe myself as a trying Muslim. I'm not a perfect Muslim by any means. I would even say I'm a great one. Alhamdulillah, I'm trying. I'm doing what I can, and inshallah, Allah accepts from me. And by recording this and by reading this, I just want you all to know that, inshallah, you guys can help me become better by me maybe helping you. And it may seem like I'm just telling you guys, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. In reality, I'm generally saying that I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And I think it's the same for Hussein here. This is just a reminder, like, everything that we say to you is just a reminder for ourselves ultimately. And you'll see that constantly reoccurring throughout the episodes we put out, the past and in the future. So to move on from that point, I think it's important to start realizing little switches that we can make. So, I mean, we talked about maybe, let's say one day we're driving in the car. Every car ride crank some music, just jamming out while you're driving. Like what else are you gonna do? Sit in silence.
Mhm.
Start listening to music that one day. You know, maybe listen to some Quran.
سماها
Maybe
سجايا
yeah,
سعادة
yeah. Maybe
كده.
find that good recital. Find that recital they really like. You know, maybe refresh your memory. Maybe you forgot that one surah and you just really you get stuck on that one gap between ayahs, and you just need to figure out what's in between. And maybe eventually it's like you sing along to those lyrics, you're gonna start reciting along. And that's just one habit. And trust me when I say, when you get that one thing that seems so minuscule incorporated in your life, the blessings you'll receive are immense. Subhanallah. And it just opens up the gateways to do even bigger things. Like like we said at the beginning, Alhamdulillah, one of my favorite things I always say is that I love the vibe of Salatul Jama'ah because not everybody can make it to the masjid 5 days, 5 times a day, 7 days a week, you know. But there's something about Yom Al Jum'ah where as it is an obligation, that you see all the brothers out there. You know what I mean? You see all those brothers. Sometimes you see some guys that you haven't seen in so long, get to catch up with them. And we said in the beginning, maybe once one salah, maybe Yom Al Jum'ah, just take some time, you know, finish your salah, get out the masjid, catch up with that brother you haven't seen in a while. Or you know what? Maybe you've been seeing this one brother a bunch. Introduce yourself. Maybe be like, inshallah, see you next week. Hey, let's get some contact info. Grab some food sometime, then we can go to, catch Asr. All those little baby steps can lead to immense habit changes in life. And do you want to? I think you can even keep going here with the changes and habits that we see within our life.
I mean, one of the habits that we can really take over is the basis, pretty much of our deen, which is all of our salats, salat al fajr, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, right? And obviously, for some brothers and sisters, that can be so hard to even just pray to pray 5 times a day, right? Some brothers will start making excuses that I can't wake up at 5 a.m. or I have to go to work at 7 a.m. every single day. Like brothers will do that. They will be strict on a 7 a.m. schedule, but they can't even sacrifice 2 hours for their Lord to go pray Fajr. You know what I mean?
So
So I think we need to be able to establish the 5 prayers. And I'm not saying, obviously, have the intention to start the 5. But again, as Adam said, with all these habits and all these great habits, in order to balance Deen and Dunya, we have to start baby steps, right?
it all is dependent on one thing, and it's a thing that we all see within our lives. We see it within work ethic, we see it in school. When you want something and you really really want it and you put your mind to it, you're gonna get it.
It's all through the intention, bro.
You're going to get it. If you want to wake up at 7 in the morning because you're going on a road trip, you're gonna wake up at 7 a.m. Period. If you need to wake up at 6 a.m. to get to work because you can't be late to your shift and supervisor's going to be mad at you, you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. Now imagine we're waking up at 6 a.m. to catch a shift at work, right? Because we don't want our supervisor to, look bad or look down on us, because are you kidding me? We slept through our shift and we're late to our work. That's I I can't even imagine. At the same time, imagine the creator, what the creator thinks when we're sleeping through just a 5 minutes. You wake up, make your wudu, pray those 4 rakat, and get back to sleep. Missing that should take, I'll say, even should take no more than 10 minutes if you're really effective with your time. If we're really sweet running it, subhanallah. And I'll say I'm guilty of it too. I can't lift the cover some nights. I don't make that niyyah sometimes, and I miss it, and I admit my fault. I ask Allah to forgive me, but I know I not only am I gonna make up that salah, but I got to start breaking that habit. Because as soon as you get comfortable, shaitan's there saying like, "Ooh, this bed is so comfortable, but it's so cold if I lift up the blanket, and this pillow is really nice. I got it right on my head, like it feels so comfortable. But if I get up, I'm gonna just wake up immediately, and I'm not gonna be tired anymore. I'm just gonna be tired the rest of the day." Once we snap out of that, we say, "No, I don't want this. I need this. I need this for my akhirah. If I don't get this, then who's to say what's gonna happen to me?" And this isn't at the end of the day, like this isn't a scare. This isn't me trying to scare you. It's more of us trying to think about we need to all wake up, not wake up for Fajr, but wake up in the sense of like we need to open our eyes to what's true, man. Like you gotta realize this dunya is so temporary, and we've been repeating it. We've been repeating it for the past 30 minutes. This dunya is so temporary. Once we understand that, you're gonna like everything else will just play out. Everything plays out the way it should be. Just set our priorities straight. And you know, I think because we've both been able to share, a few things personally about, how we find, some balance and, you know, Deen and Dunya within our daily lives. I think it's important now to, before we close out here, because we don't want to hold you guys for too long, inshallah, to come up with, some almost game plans. What do we got to write up for to get on top of our Deen? Because we're not saying disregard the Dunya. If you disregard the Dunya, there's extremes.
Exactly.
We're not saying have go all willy nilly and do whatever you want. We're not saying do nothing, but get on your Deen, because that's unrealistic. It's unrealistic.
It doesn't fulfill our purpose in the dunya as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think are some things? Because I know I have a few about ways that we can start slowly incorporating this change in life, and ultimately, inshallah, find that success in achieving that perfect balance.
I think that one of the main ways to even achieve success is learning from ones above you, especially if you're trying to get strong, not just within the dunya, but like specifically within the deen, is learning through mashayikh and learning through the ulama, right? Gaining knowledge, right? Isn't there something about gaining knowledge? I forgot. It was who said it? Like one of the top priorities in Islam is gaining knowledge about your deen, right?
Because we don't the difference between, look, as Muslims, we gotta flex a little bit. Don't be. We're not saying to be boastful, because that's wrong. You gotta flex about your deen a little bit. Muslims, we know our Quran, not just memorize it, but we do need to know the meaning. If we don't, we do need to know the meaning, because we got Christians that just are Christian. They don't know their book. You know, they pray to the God only when they need it. If we find ourselves doing that, we gotta understand that we're also praying him 5 times a day, or we should be. You know what I mean? Christians find themselves on occasion, if not, let's say the even we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, every Sunday in the church at service. We can't find ourselves. We can't, be meeting level to level. We got to be that step ahead. You understand?
The best of the
Like
best.
we gotta say like, hey, they're in there every Sunday. We got to be there every day. We can't just be there at Jum'ah. We got to be there every day. You know what I mean? We got to. The thing is, like, educating yourself starts with, like, you gotta live it out. You really gotta live it out. Because we can't say that our dean's right if we don't know what our dean is. If you ask somebody, like, we can't be asked, what is Islam? Why do you believe in it? And not be able to answer that question. Because we got to be able to show it. We got to be able to show it. We can't just say like, oh, Islam's just a religion where we believe in that there's no God but Allah. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is his last final messenger. But what is it, religion? We pray 5 times a day. Like, you got to be able to. We can't just be able to say it.
You gotta be able to show it,
You got to
not
be
tell.
able to show it.
Show and not tell.
Let your actions speak louder than your words, and that's something that's very, very important. Another thing that I'd like to say too is that, look, at the end of the day, changing this lifestyle, getting out of these habits, and with the intention to be good, is very tough.
And it takes
But
time.
it takes a lot of time. It's not going to happen overnight. But you got to understand that you're not the only one trying to do this, okay? So, what I'd say, what I think personally works for me, set out a plan. Plan out your days. The same way you plan out your days with friends, like, all right, we're going to wake up at this time. We're going to meet up here. We're going to go here. We'll stop and do this. We'll do this, and we'll end the day here. Same way you do that, you got to plan out your day accordingly to prioritizing your deen, Got to say, you know what? I'm going to wake up, get my salah out of the way, maybe do these few things. Say, but got to remember that I got to leave some time for the hood here, this and asad, and maybe I can catch at the masjid here. And at the same time you're doing this, you got to learn that you can't do it. This could be a solo mission, sure. But me personally, I find comfort in, other people that are in the same path as me in the sense. So I can maybe be like, you know what? Go to the masjid find some brothers in the same space as me, get to know them. You know what? Instead of hanging out with my guys and maybe getting caught doing something wrong, I hang out with this new brother that I just met, and maybe we're both gonna keep each other in check. We're both gonna, do the right thing, have the right intention. That's where it all starts. It all starts with the little things, and do let us know down below too. Maybe some struggles that you go through. Not even share the struggles, but some things that you see as a challenge sometimes in your life. You know, regarding your Deen, and how you apply it and conquer that, or plan to even get on top of that in this dunya. Because you got to earn your ticket, man. You got to earn your ticket to Jannah, inshallah. Inshallah, we'll all find each other there, and we'll all know at that time, inshallah, that it was well worth it. Because I mean, just imagine, like we said before, if we can't even comprehend what's waiting for us, why risk it? Why risk losing it? That's something that I wouldn't want to miss out on. You know what I mean? And I mean, inshallah, we can wrap it up here. To make things short. Bottom line today, just want to say, well, I think we need to start throwing disclaimers out here on these videos, because bottom line, I know nobody does, inshallah. Nobody does look at me that way, but don't look at us like anybody that's somewhere you're trying to achieve. Like, subhanallah, we try to
We try our best.
we try our best, but at the same time, I think it's even more powerful to see, even with this poll that we put out, the questions that we put out, like what a lot of people want us to discuss, because it shows where your guys' heads are at and what you guys think is important. And it really sometimes makes me feel jealous. And that's the things I'm proud to be jealous of, like to see people that are better on their Deen than me or more consistent than I am. That's something I'm jealous of and want to be like. And so don't look at us as any,
Mashayikh or something.
we don't like never like that. Just look at us as, two brothers, that we're trying to get through that just like you, and we're reminding ourselves, and you just happen to be listening in, and you're gonna take some advice too, inshallah. Take what you will and don't what you don't, inshallah. I like to close this out by saying, before we get into a quick dua, uh, remember Allah, you know, remember Allah with everything that you do. It says in Surah Baqarah, 152, it says, "Shu tadhakkaruni tadhakkar." It says, "Remember me and I'll remember you." That's something very important, and that's the basis of Salah. A 5 daily prayers should be established to have that remembrance of Allah in your life. Because when you remember Allah, you're not going to mess up. When you have that fear for Allah, you're not going to want to mess up. Sure, you may end up doing it. Nobody's perfect, but you're going to understand that there is a consequence to it. But you do understand that God is merciful and He is there for you. So there's a lot of ways to it. But just remember Allah, and remember that He's always with you, whether you think what you're going through is too complex for you to understand or doesn't make sense to you right now. Allah's got you, inshallah. Establish those prayers. Be careful with who we surround ourselves with, especially personal reminder too. Be careful with who you surround yourselves with, because again, this life, man, not worth it in the end. It's temporary, very temporary. And what may seem like a win right now, what I always used to say is that this life is, what I used to hear is that this life is like Jannah for the non-believers, because they got nothing after this. Think about it. Allah yahmina. Like, we see like a lot of people with everything, every car you can imagine, luxury and jewelry and money and everything in this life, and you're just like, man, I wish I had that. But you don't want it by the means that they went through to get it, maybe. But you're like, what? Like, what? How do they have that? You got to think that after this, what do they have? They're stuck in disbelief, and that's left up to Allah. Left up to Allah to decide. I'm not dictating anybody's punishment, but you got to understand, like, really, like, once your priorities set straight, everything else will be too, and lead a lifestyle that is right. Because deep down, even when you're on that path of sin, and it's wrong, it's hard to turn off sometimes, but just get down that, try to steer your way onto that path that is right, and everything will fall after you. Allah's with you, man. No matter how deep in the dumps you think you are, there's always a way out. There's always a way out, inshallah.
Inshallah
I
ta'ala.
ask Allah to make it easy for us to
Ameen.
stay on the right path.
Ameen.
I ask for Allah to surround us by people that are only going to lift us up and won't bring us down.
Ameen.
I ask for Allah to find success in all our lives, inshallah, whether
Ameen.
that be in every avenue that's good for us. Inshallah, He keeps what's good for us in our lives and takes away what's bad for us out of our lives and keeps us far away from what's bad. Ask Allah
Ameen.
to bring a lot of success to this podcast and this episode, inshallah,
Ameen.
so more people can benefit, inshallah, and make our intentions pure, inshallah, for this
Ameen.
podcast.
Ameen.
And if you have enjoyed, please like and follow, inshallah, on all the platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave a comment. DM us, email us. We love to hear from you guys. Barakallahu feekum. It's been your boy Adam.
And Hussein.
And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.